Welcome back. John and Kendra Smiley joining us. We are parenting like a pro this morning. So let's tackle this one that I have to say seems like a pretty common problem. All right. A viewer writes in, I have 2 children aged 12 and 8, and they fight all of the time. I would appreciate any advice. What do you think?
Well, in some ways it's natural. In fact, I tell you were just home this weekend with some siblings. And, well, anyway, it is sort of natural. So not all of it's going to be eliminated. But there are some reasons why, and that's what she needs to take a look at, this mom or dad, first of all. Sometimes kids fight because they're bored. Especially now that summer's over, parents are going, yes, because probably the week before, the kids were a little worse than they had been. They fight because of boredom. They fight to see how you'll react. And I know our older 2 boys, John, they were very little and probably 2 and 4, and they were just fighting and fighting. And I said to John, this is just driving me crazy, because I was quite a bit younger than my siblings and didn't have anybody to fight with. And John said, well, the reason they're fighting is you're hysterical when they do it. And I'm like, oh, that might be right. So the next time when they started to tussle, I said, go outside if you want to fight. And I watched out the window and they fought for maybe another 15 seconds and then thought, well, this is no fun. So sometimes they fight just to see your reaction, because when they do that, they've controlled you then. That's always fun for kids.
Yeah.
They might also be fighting because what you've made is the consequences are either inadequate or irrational, or what else, John? Inadequate or inconsistent. So if those 3 things are happening for your boundaries, or the consequences for your boundaries, it's not, go ahead and fight.
Right, and so we take a look at these situations and we say, what do we do about them? If they're bored, give them something to do. Right. Very simply, that eliminates it. If they're trying to get a rise out of you, do like Kendra said, just send them outside or ignore them. Takes care of the problem. The other one, a lot of times one sibling is going to pick on the other one, and so parents really need to concentrate on and scope into why, if that's happening, and then you've got 2 things. You can communicate with each one of them individually. It takes 2 to fight, and so if one is getting picked on, as a parent, you can take the one that's picking on and give them consequences and make sure the consequences are adequate, and the other one that's getting picked on, sometimes, if they don't get a rise, like Kendra said, the parent not getting a rise out of it, if that other sibling really doesn't react to it, then the action really doesn't get going. And a lot of times all it takes is a parent sitting down with that other sibling and saying, you know what, your brother or sister is just doing that just because you flare up. And so
they like poking you.
And so
car trips.
Isn't that the truth? And so if you'll just relax a little bit, it won't take long and they'll quit, because the fun is in watching you, get excited about it.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard somebody say, well, they're just pulling your chain? Or in essence, when they can do that and make you frustrated, it's like you're the puppet and they're the puppeteer.
Oh, absolutely.
And so then if you suggest to an older child especially, you know what, your younger sibling, let's say, is manipulating you. They're the one in control of you. Oh, well, I'm not going to let that happen. And that can take care of it.
Absolutely.
And the last thing with this is obviously the consequences. As when you get down and everything else fails, then check your consequences. If your consequences aren't adequate, it's not going to do anything. If you really don't want them to fight, then you're the parent. Be the parent and say, you're not going to fight, and this is what's going to happen. Make those consequences adequate, and you're going to be the one in charge.
That's right. Well, great advice is always one of those very real problems we deal with. So if you have a question for the Smileys, send it over to their website, parentinglikeapro.com, and if we answer it on the air, you'll get a free copy of one of their books. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Kate.